Hi guys, welcome back to Elena Kimaru. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for subscribing. If you're new here, karibu sana. So, welcome back to Everyday Unpopular Opinions. And on today's video, I'm going to be talking about boundaries. In another video, I talked about financial black tax and why it's important to have boundaries. And on this video, I'm going to talk about general boundaries. So I decided to actually even check out what boundaries are, just for us to get a definition of what boundaries are. And it says boundaries can be described as how emotionally close you let people get to you. They are also where you draw the line within a relationship. They say how much you are willing to give or take before requiring that things change or you decide to actually call it quits. That's the meaning of boundaries. So I feel like a lot of times we usually go through a phase where we don't have boundaries sometimes for some people, and it's like so hard to even like especially when you grow up in a space where there are no boundaries, like everything that's around you is for everyone. Like you actually grow up knowing that, oh, this is for us all, and people will do or make you do stuff that you're not comfortable with, but just because that's what you're accustomed to, then you don't have boundaries. And for me, when I talk about some of these things, it's because I have been in a space where I've, for example, had no boundaries. Especially for me, at some point it was with my finances, there was no boundaries, and I already talked about that. And so when you don't have boundaries, it is especially bound to affect you emotionally. At some point you're gonna feel like, oh my god, I'm super overwhelmed, I need to do better. And sometimes it's very hard to get yourself out of that rut, because you feel like, oh, this is just, it's bad, and it's easy to wallow in that kind of thing where you feel like I'm done, but I don't know what to do about it. So let me give examples of where maybe there is no boundaries. Like, for example, people ask you for money, you're always giving them, you don't know how to say no. That means you've not set up a boundary. You're in a relationship and your partner is always taking from you, and you're feeling drained, but you don't know how to say no. You definitely have not set boundaries. You have siblings or family members who, for instance, maybe they are either using you or for something, and you can't say no, and you definitely feel like, oh my god, I think I've had enough, but you can't say no to them, so they're just taking. You don't have boundaries. Or even at work, you are out there, people have been given something to do, tasks to do, and there's this somebody, you're in the same level, and they're always over delegating to you, and you're supposed to work together as a team, but they leave all the work to you, and then you have to do that alone. Again, that means you also have no boundaries. I remember that happened to me one time. I was working somewhere, we were working with somebody, we are assigned to do the same job, but I always ended up having to do my job and their job, and there was no, and sometimes I would feel like, oh my god, I want to call this person out on this behavior. Should I tell somebody? But trust you me, I never did, because again, I let people overstep on me. And also another instance was when I was in campus. I used to have no boundaries at that particular point, and it was easy for people to just influence me. Or maybe when they would ask me for something, especially my roommates, I'll be like, yes, yeah. I think for some time in my life, I was definitely a yes person. If you can resonate with me, let me tell you, at some point, if you've not been to that point already, but at some point it gets tiring, which is why I feel like boundaries are very important. Again, as I said in the black tax thingy, the one thing I have had to unlearn is stuff like that, and also to create those boundaries and healthy boundaries, because as I said, if you're always a yes person, that means wewe boundaries, you're not friends, you're two different things, which is something now for me I had to learn. And for me it actually took somebody else pinpointing, apart from myself, of course, feeling like, hey man, I'm really tired with this kind of thing. It took somebody else coming to me and telling me also, like, hey, by the way, I think whatever you are doing is part of what has been overwhelming you. And I'm like, yeah, I have been feeling like that too. So it kind of validated the idea that I had in my head. So it's boundaries are really important. It's something you have to learn. If you need to build walls, whether it's with your friends, with your family, it's important to start saying no and to only say yes to things that actually create a healthy you, because at the end of the day it's always about you. I always tell myself that no one will ever take care of me in a way, or love me or be there for me the same way I can for myself. It's always up to you to actually do better by you. And trust you me, this is very unpopular. People don't like when you know your worth. They don't like when you know yourself. They don't like it when you have boundaries. A lot of times people prefer the version of you that they can actually step on, the version of you that they can actually, if I ask you for something, you are ready to give it to me. If I ask you for whatever it is, you are always there for me. So a lot of times it takes unlearning. If you've been through that phase of you're having an issue with boundaries with people, trust me, it's not something you just snap your fingers and it happens. It's another habit you have to slowly learn and slowly practice, and with time you get to a point where you now feel like, oh my god, I am comfortable being me. I am comfortable doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for myself. So boundaries are super important, and I cannot overemphasize on these. If you don't learn them, the earlier you learn them, the easier and happier your life and fulfilling your life becomes. So whether it's financial, whether it's relationship, whether it's with friendships, whatever it is, you need to learn your boundaries. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it insightful. Let me know in the comment section below if you're struggling with boundaries. My neighbors are out here making a lot of noise. They are welding something. But anyway, I hope you loved this video and you can relate with it.